Hello friends, my name is Panasiuk, and I have already survived on uninhabited islands with my fishing rod, spear gun, and pole spear. And today, for 24 hours, I will be in the forest, which is located near the volcano, not far from the lake, which was formed in the crater of this volcano. I need to get myself food for another day at any cost, because my main task is to survive. So my survival begins, and I will start by getting with a backpack what I will use today for my survival. The first is my Swiss knife, compact but very functional, of course a fire starter, more difficult to assemble than a lighter or matches, but it is reliable, does not get damp and does not break. The third is my axe. Fourth is my homemade slingshot, which I made with bamboo. Also, my very simple fishing rod from bamboo. And of course, my anti-mosquito suit is always with me. Whew. My morning does not start with coffee, but with a cup of warm, fruity herbal tea, which I picked myself in the jungle. In any case, it is water. Plus it warms, and thirdly, it raises a large moral set of vitamins. I don't waste time and make darts for a slingshot. When I change to a second pull with a thread, I want to go fishing with a slingshot or hunting fish with a slingshot in general. Call it whatever you like. And with this piece of rod, remember, I had a slingshot and there was a steel rod with which I sawed off my arrow and I had the rest. With the rest I will make small darts or harpoons for my slingshot to hit the fish and use these darts to pick up fish. My multi-tool has a metal saw and a file, which I usually use to make darts for my slingshot. The forest is of course very good, but it's time to change the place of my camp. So I took my hammock out of the trees, packed it up, and put it in my backpack. I threw the backpack over his shoulders and reached towards the lake. And despite the fact that these are tropics in the forest and even more so in the mountains, it is quite cool in the morning. But the lower I went, the higher the temperature got. Moving towards the island, more and more panoramas opened up in front of me. From the back, I saw another very high volcano that enveloped the clouds, and the rising sun illuminated all this very beautifully. On my way, I met frozen pieces of lava, and I collected the most beautiful ones. Perhaps for some of the subscribers, this will be a very good keepsake. If you support this idea, write me about it in the comments. They are all very similar, but at the same time, very different. But in any case, in my opinion, this is still some part of the story. Therefore, I will collect more of them and throw them in my pocket. The descent was not rough enough, but due to the fact that I am constantly on the move, I warmed up very quickly and even became already hot. Today, I plan to hunt this fish with a slingshot. I need to find a suitable piece of wood. This bush suits me perfectly. I take my knife out of my backpack and there is a small file on it. Despite the fact that it is small, but it is very sharp and it is quite enough to saw off the desired piece of wood. The reel for the slingshot will be somewhat reminiscent of a pistol. I put it in a backpack. I won't find a convenient place where I get to work. Again, the clouds descended on the mountains and the situation quickly changed. Found a good place to get started. I take out the blank from the backpack. From this piece of wood, I want to make a reel for my fishing slingshot. Since I don't have a 1-hour job, I'd rather put a suit under my ass. The nail file is very small, but if your hands are not crooked, then you can work with it. I cut off the extra fragments and give a preliminary shape to the future coil. The canvas is clogged, the wood is damp. Next, I will process the workpiece with a knife blade. The tree needs to be peeled. The tree is young, sharpened very easily, like a young potato. Again, there is a little rain, but it is so fresh that it is pleasant and reluctant to completely hide from it, because in the tropics, it rains very rarely. But now they begin because firstly, the rainy season, and secondly, I'm in the mountains and the volcano behind me is not visible at all. Look, the clouds have closed. So the broadcast is raining, but it's not for long. My task is to clear the wood from foreign migrants and get to the hardwood. I cleared the green bark, and now the main task of the port is to split a part of the coil like this. On the horizon, exactly higher, well, maybe even a little higher. For this I need an axe and a knife. Who lives here? Whose holes could these be? Mice, rats, snakes? What do you think? Now with the error of the side and back just in case, I will put marks. So having previously selected the center with a knife and an axe, I need to split this tree into 2 parts. Of course it's not perfect, but it's enough. For me, the main thing is to get to a small area where I will make a depression where the slingshot dart will be placed. And so it turns out that I split this branch. Now I will cut the groove from this side and from this side, and when I connect my branch, at me will be in the center of the hole where I will insert the dart for my fishing slingshot. This event will be part of a little cut. Imagine it like this, and the back of the dart will stick out from this side. I will hold the handle and watch the dart, pull it in the slingshot, triggering the sensor. The dart will shoot, and the fishing line will be wound on top on my branch. And when I shoot, the line will fly off the same way as from the spool of a fishing reel. Friends, I appreciate your time, so I go deep into details because this process will take some time. But closer to the finished result, I came back and showed you what happened. With the help of a small chisel, I create central holes where the dart will be inserted. When you are busy with the process, time just flies unnoticed. But I have very good news for you. I finished the reel, and just like the slingshot, burned it on a fire, went down to the lake, and I'm already very eager to check it in action. The reel looks like this. But what about the slingshot that you have already seen? Only I replaced the rods on it, which are specially for a fishing dart. Well, it's time for the most popular mission, slingshot fishing. So, I insert the dart into the reel. I fix it with my thumb. I hook the dart to the rubber traction and into battle. I found a small island of solidified lava and made my ambush. Carefully peering into the water, waiting for the fish to rise to the surface. If you take yourself quietly, then after a few seconds the fish swims out of the grass. The main thing is to accurately aim and make a shot. Everything seems to be working, but after a couple of shots, I realized that it was working, but not very stable. On slow motion frames, you can clearly see how the dart enters the water, not absolutely smoothly, and sometimes deviates from its trajectory. Damn, I gave this. The arrow got stuck in the grass and so hard. Well, at least I know that the destructive power of my slingshot is decent. Wow, almost the entire arrow went in. The procedure dart was getting dull, but thanks to the file in my knife, this could be fixed very quickly by sharpening it back. It is not easy to sit in an ambush, not moving, and as soon as you wait for a larger fish to come out smoothly, calmly, but accurately, aim and hit it. If suddenly someone doubted the lethality of this slingshot, look, the branch was pierced through and through. There were only small fish here. I decided to walk a little along the shore and look for another place. Maybe there are bigger fish there. Look, what an interesting tree. I thought it was very beautiful. It would be cool to make a house in such a place. Moving on, I found a small bamboo bridge that the fishermen had made to fish in the reeds. I thought it was an interesting place to make my ambush and very carefully moved there. From time to time, fish would swim up from the grass and rise to the surface to breathe. And I took advantage of this moment, trying to get into the fish. Damn, well, this is a whole science, of course. Shooting more and shooting. Well, I think my reel will need to be finalized. I already see a lot of shortcomings. That at the time when I load here, the arrow walks inside to the left, to the right, respectively, and knocks down this trajectory during the shot. In this underwater shooting, it is very clearly visible how, after hitting the dart in the water, it strongly deviates from its trajectory. Look again. Now you understand how difficult it is to hit the fish. But I did not lose my enthusiasm and continued my training. With the Hawaiian pole spear, I also did not succeed the first time. Well, friends, enough fishing for a slingshot today. You need to restore it a little because one pull has broken. Time passed, but I never caught new prey. It was obvious that the slingshot needed to be further developed, so I decided to use my homemade primitive bamboo fishing rod in order to catch my prey. But everything is not so simple. First, you need to find bait, and for this, I need a digging stick. It is very difficult to find an earthworm in the tropics. First of all, you need to find a wet place, preferably in the shade and where there are old, dry leaves. I dug myself up some worms and some kind of beetle. That will be enough for bait. Friends, this is such a beautiful coast. And I already see such a small red fish there, which I caught with the help of a Hawaiian pole spear at night in this volcano crater. And I also saw a couple of fairly large calves, and I think that something will be needed today to be sure to catch. Let's see if my float will stand. Perfectly. I returned to the place where I used to fish with this rod, and I had a very good result. I put the worm on the hook and throw the rod into the water. Looking at the float is still that hypnosis. Looking ahead, I will say that during sleep when I closed my eyes, I still saw this float. Time passed, but for some reason, fish refused to peck. Cast after cast, and I started experimenting with depth, and here is the first bite. Come on, worm. Catch fish big and small. Why do we spit on a worm? I used to catch it like that in my childhood, and for some reason we spit on a worm. Why? What does it give? Yeah. This is the catch, friends. Well, what is the first fish? No matter what size it is, but I caught a fish. This is luck. This is success. Look what a beautiful straight goldfish. Something like our perch. Some kind of large-lipped perch, or is it some kind of tilapia? Golden tilapia. In any case, this is my goldfish. Well, I'm sorry. You're small, of course, but today I have a mission to catch my own food in 24 hours. So I'm picking you up. Probably it was not in vain that I spit on a worm as a child. Having picked up the required depth, the fish pecked at almost every cast. It only remained to hook it in time. There is one more prey. I caught a little tilapia. Looked like a baby. Let's release it and let it grow up. Well, it's not serious. This is a very small fish. I'll at least sort it out. It's caught in quantity. It already makes me happy. Well, I'll release such a baby. Well, there is prey. My fishing skills did not let me down, so today I will not be hungry. Well, that's enough stuff. 7 or 8 I caught. We'll go. Cook the fish. I'll pack my fishing rod. It was already getting dark, and I remembered that yesterday, in the place where I hunted a pheasant with a slingshot, I left my photo trap, and I need to return to the forest to check if I managed to catch this pheasant in the photo. It is simply impossible to be in the forest without a suit. There are a lot of mosquitoes. My suit is called Shark Extreme. Because of the clouds, the climate in the forest is very different. It immediately blew with freshness and coolness. Well, let's check the photo trap whether I managed to catch something on it or not. Your bets, as usual. Write forecasts in the comments. Well, did you catch something or not? Not far from where I picked up my photo trap, I saw squirrels running on a tree. I quickly changed the rubber rods of the slingshot and tried to catch them. What do you think in such a place a trap if hidden? Can I catch something? I aimed my photo trap at the tree where the squirrels live. The sun went below the horizon. I made a fire with my flint and cooked the caught fish. Had a tasty snack and again met the night in the forest. I'll tell you honestly, it was a very difficult day, but at the same time very interesting. Share this video with your friends. That is all for now. See you.